Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today, we're going to review RWBY Volume 6, Chapter 2, Uncovered. I'm going to go over what happened in this episode, analyze it a bit, and give my thoughts on the story of the episode as well as the animation choreography. So, sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and jump right on into this review. So, first we start off with Cinder, and I know a lot of people already right off the bat are not happy about Cinder returning, but Cinder is a vital component to the story. Some people don't think so, but she is a major role in the story as an antagonist, as a character, and to be finally seeing her come back was good, because Cinder has a vital role to play in the story still. Not only this, but Cinder is having her character arc, as you can clearly see within this volume. But we start off with Cinder in water. She is underwater and she's being defrosted, it seems, by the water. So somehow nature took its course and apparently defrosted the ice. So that's interesting, but I think that considering that she is a maiden and she has the abilities of fire and she could burn through, I would think that she would have tried to burn through. She would have used her magic to burn through the ice and melt it, but apparently not. And also, I would think that since she can fly, because maidens can fly, and we've seen her fly, I would think that she would have been able to fly out of the water, but I guess not. So I don't know. But as we were seeing Cinder climb up, she tries to use her fire, try to see if she can get a flame going, but she could not. She looks up and she sees that that big cliff-like area where she fell from, where the relic was, wasn't as far as we thought of a fall. So that's interesting. But here's the funny thing. There was a crack that she sees in the wall, and she punches through it. Here's the funny thing about that. Lionheart, I'm sorry. I feel like anybody could have really gotten through there if they had saw that crack. Because when Cinder punches the ground, obviously the crack in the wall starts to open a little bit. And then that's when Cinder punches through and actually gets out. As she is trying to walk out, she collapses. And a woman then comes across her. And this woman notices Cinder's grim arm. Well, that tells you one thing. Death flag. Because, yeah, seeing that grim arm, there's a reason why it was covered up. And seeing that a civilian saw this, yeah, of course, they'd probably panic too, because they'd probably think that there's something up with that, because ordinary people don't have grim arms. So Cinder kills her to go into a disguise that she's going to use. And I have to say, the look isn't bad. It suits Cinder for a disguised role, I think. But then after we see that Cinder is getting ready to kill this woman, we then cut to where they're in the room again, in the house. Oh, man. It's like we can't escape the room. No matter what happens, it's like we can't escape this house. But everybody is trying to figure out a plan. They're figuring out where they have to go next. And the next area that they are going to have to travel to is actually Atlas. And then there's a Weiss gag there, which Weiss is not very happy about it. So it seems that they're bringing that up twice, because they brought it up in the first episode, they're bringing it up again. Now, I don't find that to be a problem, considering that, yes, they would have to bring that up with Weiss, and then I can see her being upset about it. And then Nora brings up a meta joke. I think I'm going to start taking count of the meta jokes, because she makes a joke about how she's glad they don't have to be in this house anymore. I think we all are glad. You are not the only one, Nora. I think every single last one of us are glad. But this is the second meta joke that has actually been made. So meta joke count is now at 2. And while they are actually talking about having to go to Atlas, you then learn that the Spring Maiden could have actually sealed the gate to the relic, and that the Spring Maiden could be the one to get access to it. And even though they need the relic, why would they want to seal it back when they're going to obtain the relics? That was kind of a weird thing to actually mention, I thought. Because if this is your objective goal, to collect all the relics, then why would you seal it back if you need it? See, that was kind of the thing that was strange to me. I mean, it's a new fact to us that we now know that the maidens can seal the doors. So, there's that fact, but I don't know why they would think of sealing it away again when they actually need it. So that's a weird thought there. And if you notice Yang's upset when the Spring Maiden is brought up because that's her mother. So to see Yang be upset over this still, I get that. It makes sense. And all at the same time here, it's like she still hasn't got past all those events. Now, of course, this is still between the 2 week time skip, but that's still something that's apparently still weighing upon Yang's mind is the fact of Raven and that incident. But it shows that this is something that's still a burden to Yang, apparently. It's still something that weighs on her mind heavily. So she's still thinking about it when the Spring Maiden is brought up. So that was something that was interesting to actually see. Kind of strange though, but yeah, it was interesting. So Lyrin brings up the next point that Atlas's borders are cut off, and that they need a way to get into Atlas, otherwise they won't be able to make it. So Crow states that if they go to Argus, the Argus military headquarters, which is Elysian military, that they can probably get through if they actually ask to be able to get to Ironwood in that way. And Blake brings up the point that they do have the heirs to the Schnee Dust Company. Well, unfortunately, which Weiss states that she is the former heiress. So that doesn't really hold up anymore. And Yang says that, well, we still have the daughter of the family that owns the Schnee Dust Company. So maybe we could get our way in there and get a little bit of money off that. Shame on you, Yang. Shame on you for trying to sell your friend. Not cool. Not cool. But we then get Ozpin to come in there, and he actually talks about how time is of the essence, and how they're going to have to get to Atlas as soon as possible before Salem and her forces can possibly get there. And we get to see the magical MacGuffin, which is all magical and self-cleaning, because apparently it can alter its size whenever it wants. The power of the magical MacGuffin, everybody. And so Jean asks, what can the relic do? Then Ozpin himself explains what the relic is capable of. So the relic is capable of answering any question you ask it. So if you ask it a question, it will answer it and give you an answer, so long as it is not about what may happen in the future. And you may only ask 3 questions every 100 years. So there's a limit to this. With great power also comes its limits, and that is the limit. So it seemed that Ozpin also tells him it's really useless, that it can't do anything at the current time being, thus leading to Ozpin and his shady ways again. And we do get a funny little moment with Nora, and that was enjoyable. I do love seeing good moments with Nora. I think that she is a very good character, and I enjoy them really sticking to who she is as a character, because Nora and Rin did nothing really at all last volume, hardly anything. So it was good to see them actually have a good moment there to be able to interact. So we then get to see it cut to the present day, where the train has crashed, everybody is trying to make sure everybody's fine and safe, and Ruby stumbles across the relic, in which is going to lead into more shady Ozpin moments because of him keeping secrets again, as he always has. So we see a moment with Yang, and she's trying to pull Bumblebee out, which was pretty great. I thought what was really funny was after she pulls the vehicle out, she twitches, if you notice. Just watch her leg and you'll see her twitch. And she brings up how Maria Calavera is basically useless. And Maria tries to snap back by saying, I'm not useless. But then realizes, oh, well, I do have some problems that kind of make me useless. So, yeah, there's that. But I think she's a pretty good old woman. I think she's kind of funny in a sense. So now Yang starts to question Ozpin again, and that is because, yet again, after they left Haven, in which Blake brings this up, they had been attracting Grimm the entire time because of the relic having the ability to attract the Grimm. Now, the statement is made by Ozpin stating that the Grimm may be attracted to the relics because of the presence of the gods, because the gods created them, and apparently they are attracted to the power of the gods. So that could be the reason that they are attracted to the relics. So that's something to think about there. But you can't blame anybody for also not trusting Osmond, because he is planting the seeds of doubt by continuously lying and keeping secrets. And because he keeps doing this, it makes sense why everybody is questioning him and questioning what he's doing, why he's doing this. It makes sense. They want to know what he's hiding because he constantly keeps hiding something. And to hide something from people that are supposed to trust you and be on your side, yes, that's going to make them weary, because why would you hide something from people you can trust? And Yang even brings up that statement, and that's when Ozpin actually states that Lionheart was also a good trusted friend of his until Salem found him, and then at the end he was not the Lionheart that he originally was. Which was pretty interesting, but I think we kind of could have assumed that Lionheart was always a kind-hearted individual who may have wanted the best, but his fear got the best of him, and in the end he met up with Salem, felt that she may have been right, and in the end led to his death. And he wasn't the same person, as Ozpin even states. And after all this, Ozpin then realizes the relic is missing, and RWBY is the one to be holding it. And RWBY questions Ozpin, because all the times he's talked about having hope and faith in humanity, why would you be saying these things if you don't have hope and faith in people yourself? And he has a discouraged look on his face. And he feels himself that because he's been betrayed so many times, that nobody will stick with him. And to a degree, this makes sense, but at the same time, why would people want to leave you unless you've done something wrong? You see, that's the thing. People wouldn't leave someone they trust if they were good and they were respectful and they were trustable and they did things that weren't out of the ordinary. But Ozpin continues to do things out of the ordinary. He continues to hide things. So it makes sense why people may become weary of him, because they may start finding out the truth about Ozpin and then turn against him. And then Blake brings up a good point. What does it matter who holds the relic? You see, Ozpin wants to have the relic, and as Oscar tries to take over to fight Ozpin to let everyone know that Ozpin's trying to prevent everybody from finding out the truth. Thus, Oscar revealing the information of Jin being the genie in the lamp, which that's the entire reference. Now, what I do like about this scene is Oscar and Ozpin are fighting over control of the body. And that's the entire reference to the man with two souls fighting over the control over the host body. I like this because this is the reference to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde again. This is the continuation of that reference. I like seeing these two struggle for control because it is continuing that reference. It's continuing one of the characters that Ozpin is actually based off of. And I do like seeing the struggle here, because it makes complete and perfect sense that this is going to be an ongoing struggle until Ozpin eventually merges his consciousness with Oscar. So RWBY then decides to say Jin's name, and Jin comes out of the relic, and you see everybody standing there in awe, and they are questioning what this is. So I have to say, I think Jin's design is based off the design from Magi. Has anybody ever seen that anime? If you've ever seen that anime, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It seems like the design was inspired for Jin's character, because that's what it looks like to me personally. But it really feels like they used the genie character from that series to represent Jin. It looks like the inspiration came from that. But that's what I thought, at least when I saw it. Let me know what you think down below. And then Jin asks them, what knowledge do you seek? And as she asks this question, it then cuts out to Cinder again. Now, one thing I like about the scene when we start seeing Cinder walk up, when she stops and we see the wanted images, we see the old poser models, actually, for Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald being used. I like that. I actually like that they decided to use these old poser models. It's a good reference back to volumes 1 through 3 for Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury. So I really did actually like that. And if you notice, it says last known location, Haven Academy, approximately 1 month ago. So it seems that Cinder has been frozen, at least from what this is stating, for 2 weeks. So this whole time that the time skip had gone on, Cinder apparently has been out of commission this entire time, or at least it seems that way. Now, I could be wrong, but seeing that she has these clothes now, I highly doubt that she's been wandering around for very long, but I'll get more into that in a moment. So, looking at everything, looking around, going through the slums of Mistral, she finds what seems to be a spiderweb imprint. And she goes to where that may actually lead her. And so I like this because this means she has a good pickup on where knowledge or intel could be. I do like that about Cinder, and it would make sense considering that she was able to form a group back to help her take down Beacon. So I did like that. And when she walks in, Cinder is stopped by Little Miss Malachite's two guards. And what I like about this is I like the voice acting that came from Jessica Nigri during this, because it sounds like Volume 2 Cinder. And I really actually liked her voice acting here. So, Jessica Nigri, good job there. Good job to you. Now, this character, Little Miss Malachite, she is actually based off Little Miss Muffet. And for Cinder to be able to talk to her, she had to throw the money that she had on her. And I love how Little Miss Malachite's like, oh, this must be your life savings. And the statement from Cinder is just great. She says it was somebody's. I like that statement, actually. That was clever. I like that. And I don't like the introduction to Little Miss Malachite, and here's my reason. Because when Cinder addresses her and asks her if she is Little Miss Malachite, Little Miss Malachite said that she would skin her alive if she took that tone with her again. That to me made no sense. I mean, I don't know if she's trying to do an intimidation factor or what, but that just sounded kind of dumb, because Cinder didn't have a tone other than curiosity of who this person is, if she may have possibly been Little Miss Malachite. So, I don't get Little Miss Malachite's character there. I don't get why she had to act that way. That was, to me, a bad way to start off. I did not like that at all. And so, I like how Cinder asked if she knew these travelers. And I enjoy this because they, yet again, use the poser models from Volume 3. I really liked that. They are throwing old references here, and I am liking the old references. And so, here's another problem I actually had with this conversation. Was after Cinder jumps because she's afraid that somebody may be looking for her, when Little Miss Malachite states that she was once afraid of spiders, and she asked Cinder how she took care of them, and Cinder said, you learned to kill them. And Little Miss Malachite says that she basically made them her spiders, that she made them work for her. It's strange, because if Cinder knew that she was referencing people, see, that's the big part here. If she knew that Little Miss Malachite was referencing people, then the fall of Beacon is exactly what Cinder did. She had other people be used to her advantage. So I wouldn't understand why that would be, but then again, Cinder does start looking around and seeing people with the tattooed marks, so maybe she at first thought that Little Miss Malachite may have actually meant real spiders, or if she actually did realize the whole time that she meant people, then yeah, I have an issue with that line. But if Cinder just thought it was actually spiders, then okay, I get that. But if not, then that actually makes no sense, considering volumes 1 through 3 and what Cinder did and how she had others work for her. So, but the reason why I also like this reference is because it is just like Little Miss Muffet and how she was afraid of spiders. Well, it just shows how Little Miss Malachite, who's based off Little Miss Muffet, overcame her fear of spiders. I like that reference in that degree, though. And Little Miss Malachite then tells Cinder that they will find the travelers within a week, and Cinder leaves. So one of her bodyguards actually says, we know where they were, we told the big guy, which the big guy is referring back to Hazel, and Little Miss Malachite then states that she knows where they are, and she remembers that, but she wants to figure out if anybody is looking for Cinder. And you know what that's foreshadowing. That is foreshadowing Neo, and I'm looking forward to that moment. I am anxious for that one. But then it cuts back to Ruby and her team, and so that's when Jen is trying to explain that she can still answer 2 out of the 3 questions because 1 of the 3 questions had been answered. And so Ozpin tries to interrupt Jin while she is talking to show that he wants her to be quiet, to shut her mouth, and not reveal anything about him potentially if she were to do so. And what's interesting in this scene is when Crow is about to make a statement, and everybody just turns their weapons on him, except Ruby, obviously. But Blake, Weiss, and Yang, especially Yang, considering that this is her own uncle, she is ready to even go against Crow if she needs to. And Crow then states, "Do what you feel is best, kiddo." Now, it starts to show the waver in faith even with Crow towards Ozpin. And I will say this. Never did I think that Crow would waver in faith towards Ozpin. I thought that he would be loyal to the end. And this was something that I really enjoyed seeing because now we are starting to see the waver in faith. We are starting to now see him even doubt Ozpin. And it's like others before him have doubted Ozpin, or they've left and sided with Salem, or maybe even gone their own separate ways, as we've seen with Raven. Raven even ran off as well. So, I like seeing that Crow is even questioning Ozpin, who is supposed to be one of the most loyal, if not the most loyal person to him. Then we have Ruby finally make her decision. Even though Ozpin continuously begs for her not to ask, Ruby finally decides what she's going to ask. And she asks, what is Ozpin hiding? And Ozpin runs at her. I mean, he is not happy. And he runs at her. And it makes you question him. But as everything starts to show up, we start to see images. And it's funny because it starts off as a blank canvas. And then the images just blow up in front of him because that's what the blue cloud was. The blue cloud in the intro was Jin and her power. So that's something. And now we're starting to see the story of Salem. And it starts with her, apparently. So now that we are finally going to get the backstory, hear about what happened between Ozpin and Salem, at least we're finally getting answers. It seems that some of the criticism has been heard. It seems that Miles and Carrie have heard the criticism, and they're finally going to give us answers. Show, don't tell. And at least we're not just going to hear about it, we're actually going to see this. And by seeing this, it's better than just saying it. So that's a plus. So I want to talk about a few things, considering that looking at this whole entire episode, what did I overall think of this? So I did notice a couple things in the animation. If you pay attention in the spiders area where all those people were, it seems that some of the bandits from Raven's camp in Volume 5 were actually reused models in there. So they seem to use some of their older resources, kind of put another take on their clothing, and reuse them again for just a different scenario. So if any of the models did seem similar, that's because they reused them. And that's not that bad because it doesn't cut down on resources and it allows them to reuse something else instead of having to make something brand new and then throw more brand new stuff in instead of older stuff and throwing it out. So that's good to see that they used a bit of that. I don't really have a problem with that. The animation and choreography as well for other characters in the background or that were moving around, they looked genuine. They looked like something that people would do, and their movement looked natural still. So it seems that the animation for when characters are moving around when they're walking, they don't seem unnatural at all. They don't make weird poses, and that's something I like. Now, one thing I had an issue with. If Cinder was frozen for 2 whole weeks, that's kind of crazy to me to think that nature is what actually had to defrost her. I feel that's kind of weird, but I guess that's how that works, apparently. But I would think that with somebody with maiden powers, considering that she can use fire, because the maidens are able to use a variety of different elements, I would think that she would have been able to defrost herself. And since she knew she was being frozen before she was knocked out, I would think that she would have tried to defrost herself. But I don't know. That's just a weird thing to me. Maybe you all feel the same. Maybe you all feel different. I don't know. That's up to you. But it just felt weird to me. And even when she did wake up, even if she couldn't just defrost herself, you would at least think she would have been able to fly out of there. So it's weird to me because maidens can fly, so I don't see why she couldn't have at least flown out of there after she was defrosted. So that's a bit strange to me as well. But these are just things that stood out to me. Maybe that's just something I'm nitpicking about, but I just feel like that could have been something that could have been changed a little bit. But I'm at least glad we're getting answers. At least we're getting that much, and I'm glad to see the doubt and the struggles between characters. I am enjoying that a bit more, and I'm glad that they're really still keeping that. So that's a good thing. Now, another thing that stands out to me, what was the point of really hiding Cinder when they were just going to reveal her in the second episode? Really found that to be strange because I don't know why they wouldn't have just thrown Cinder in for us to know it was Cinder. I mean, the poster really gave away that it was Cinder that was coming back. And then when you look at what she was wearing in the intro, yes, Cinder was obviously that person wearing the robes. That was clearly obvious. And, I don't really know what the point of trying to hide that was when in reality it was very obvious to everyone that Cinder was going to come back because she still is a character that has a story to tell. There's still more to Cinder, and there's still more that she could provide to the plot. And now that we're getting her arc, this is good. It can go more into that, but at the same time, I just don't know why trying to keep that a secret was such a big thing. And so, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I did like RWBY actually also being more of a character this time. I'm enjoying seeing RWBY actually get more attention and love. That is a good thing. But if I had to overall rate this chapter, I think I would give it an 8 out of 10 because it's not bad, choreography is not bad, and we do get some good parts out of it. We're starting to get answers, and that's good. And hopefully it can keep going on a good track. But here's what I'll say. I'm not going to spoil anything. I have seen chapter 3 already. And there's a lot I've got to say about that chapter next week. So, that's going to be a review. And a very long one at that. But anyways, I'll be back again on Tuesday. Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share this with your friends if you found this informative or useful. Well, anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you, and have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.